These are the Nisi Athena Cinema Primes, and over the last year or so they've become one of our most popular cinema prime sets with customers. And it's easy to see why. Optically, they're fantastic. They cover full frame and are very clean and detailed, but without being clinical. They're also incredibly small and lightweight, and the price is very competitive too. They were announced as a 5-lens set back in 2023 and recently added another 3 lenses to that, so the complete set is now 8 lenses. A 14mm t2.4, 18 t2.2, a 25, 35, 40, 50 and 85 all t1.9, and then a 135 t2.2. You can buy these as a complete 8-lens set, of course, or as the original 5-lens set, and then there's a useful add-on set which is just the 3 new lenses and a 9-lens hard case, so that you can use that add-on set if you already own the 5-lens set to turn it into an 8-lens set, which is very useful. They come in a variety of lens mounts, E, RF, L, G and PL, but those lens mounts aren't interchangeable sadly. Unlike some other competitors, you are stuck with the mount you purchase, which I'd probably class as the main weakness of these lenses. And because of that, PL has been by far the most popular with customers, because you can then adapt PL to pretty much any other lens mount out there. Like I mentioned at the start, they are very, very small and light. Each lens weighs between 780 and 795 grams, apart from the 135, which is just about 200 grams more, so about under 1 kilogram. They're also all basically the exact same size, apart from the 14, which is nearly the same size, but has a slightly different front shape to it as it's so wide. And of course the 135, which is much longer as you'd expect from a more telephoto lens option. But the gears are all in the exact same places across the lineup. And when customers pick these up for the first time, they almost always comment on the build quality. Despite being so light, they feel reassuringly well made, with an aluminium alloy housing and these bright fluorescent markings which are easy to spot and work with in the dark. And it does sound silly, but the lens caps make a real impression too. They have this same aluminium finish to them, a big marking on the front for which focal length they go with, and they're felt lined on the inside. So despite being really quite affordable cinema primes, the Nisi Athenas do have a very premium feel to them. But how do they look? I would describe these as having a neutral look to them. So not too clean and clinical, but not a huge amount of optical character. This is kind of similar to the look that you might expect from the Tachina Vistas, Sigma Cines, or maybe the DZO Film RLES lenses. And that's no bad company to keep, especially when you're buying a lens set for your own work, which will need to be used on all kinds of projects. And I think this is why we've seen these lenses be so popular with customers. Yes, a clean and natural look isn't quite as exciting to us as a more vintage lens is, which is filled with character, but you can always soften and add character with diffusion filters. You just can't take character away and make it more neutral. So lenses like this are often the more practical choice for owner-operators. Let's quickly run through some of our more controlled tests in the showroom. This interview style shot of Ben looks great, really sharp and detailed on his face, while the background bokeh looks very smooth with nice even shapes to the fairy lights as we go through the focal lengths. As we get to the wider focal lengths, look at how good the horizontal line on that back wall looks behind him. There's very little distortion even at the widest focal lengths. I think these lenses look great. If we concentrate on just the bokeh by itself, you can see that it's quite clean, with not too much onion skinning at all. A bit of cutting at the edges. They aren't perfect ovals like on some of the higher end lenses, but they're not too far away at all. And as we move through the range, they feel similar to each other, which is what you want, of course, from a cinema lens set. The 35mm does have noticeably more fringing around the lights than the longer focal lengths, and a bit more onion skinning as well. The 40 and the 50mm definitely look cleaner. As we get wider, the bokeh has more and more patterns inside, especially the 18mm. The 25 looks much cleaner, and the 14 actually looks very clean considering it's so wide, but it does have some strange cutting nearer the edges, even wide open. In the sharpness test, all lenses are very detailed, both in the center and at the edges. This is definitely one of the lens's main strengths. They're without a doubt some of the most detailed sets of lenses which we've seen in this price range. Breathing is also very under control. We could barely see any across any of the focal lengths, even the widest ones. Flaring is also nicely under control and very consistent throughout the range. One big feature which we haven't mentioned yet is that the RF, E and L mount lenses come with a drop-in filter slot on the back of each lens. Now Nisi make a range of filters to use here, from ND filters to polarizers, streak filters and of course black mist diffusion. This is very convenient, especially for cameras without built-in ND filters like the Sony FX3 for example. One word of warning though, we have found that this filter slot does physically clash with locking E-mount cameras like the Sony Burano or FX9. They work far better on normal E-mount twisty cameras like the A7 range, FX3 or FX6. The black mist filters look fantastic. This is the same shot with no filter, 1/8 strength and then 1/4 strength. If we zoom in on Ben's face, you can see we're barely losing any detail at all, but over by the lamp, we're getting that fantastic halation which really softens down the look of the lens without losing detail on your subject. These filters are a great match for these lenses. However, these drop-in filters of course are not an option with the PL mount versions, as there's just physically no space for them back here. So instead, with the PL mount lenses, Nisi have some rear mount filters which you can install onto the back of the lenses. Now these do the same range of ND, polarizers, streaks and black mist diffusion, but of course they're much slower to change than a drop-in filter is. So they're going to be more suited to filters like the black mist ones, where you might buy one for each focal length and then keep them on the lenses for a whole project at a time. You aren't really going to want to be changing ND strengths mid-shoot by using these rear filters, but it is great that Nisi have given us so many options. So overall, the Athenas are a very practical choice for people. The image looks great. They match well across the set, both physically and optically. They're small, light and really well built, and of course, reasonably priced. There are so many great options for this style of mid-range cinema primes on the market right now, but we find the Nisi Athenas are often the ones that customers end up walking out the door with, as they just tick so many boxes for owner-operators who have to work in a variety of environments and across different styles of work. If you want to try these out for yourself, please do get in touch, come into the ProV showroom, spend a bit of time with them, and if you want to buy them for your own work, of course just head over to ProV or speak to our sales team. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.